Sellers are always asking this same question: what do I need to disclose? And most of the time, that question is coming from a good place. You want to do the right thing, but you might also be afraid that disclosing too much is going to scare buyers away. Or you're handing them a negotiating weapon that they'll use against you later. Here's what I've learned in over 20 years of selling real estate. The best thing that a seller can do is to fix known defects before listing. The second best option is to disclose them. Hiding material facts, that's a ticking time bomb. And even if you think that you can get away with it, think again. I have a true story that will illustrate it. A seller who was also a licensed real estate agent, so she knew exactly what she was doing. She deliberately hid material defects from my buyers. About $40,000 worth of problems in today's dollars. I'm going to tell you what happened because I think it illustrates the potential problem that you face. So stick around for that. I'm Jessica Beganski with eXp Realty in West Hartford, and this is a seller beware video. Today, I'm going to walk you through Connecticut's seller disclosure requirements, what the form covers, who fills it out, what the $500 penalty really means, and the question that I get asked the most: what do I actually have to disclose? In Connecticut, the seller's disclosure form is called the Residential Property Condition Report, and it's required under Connecticut general statutes. Sellers of residential property must provide it to the buyer before they sign a contract. There are some exceptions, which I'll get into in a moment. A few things you should know. This applies whether you're using an agent or doing it for sale by owner. The law doesn't care either way. Your agent cannot fill out the disclosures for you. They have to come from you because you're certifying that, to the best of your knowledge, everything on that form is accurate. And that word knowledge matters enormously. Some sellers might think that if they don't acknowledge a problem, it doesn't actually exist, or it's not really a big deal. It doesn't work that way. If you had a contractor come out and give you a quote for something, then you knew about it. If you told a neighbor about a problem, then you knew about it. If you filed an insurance claim, then you knew about it. And yes, if you posted about it on Facebook with photos of your flooded basement and asked for contractors, you knew about it. And this is what sellers underestimate the most. The disclosures, they survive settlement. Disclosures don't disappear at the closing table. A buyer has 3 years to come after you. And that clock, it starts from the day they discover the problem, not from when you closed. So who's exempt? Most sellers have to fill this out, but there are some exemptions. Transfers between co-owners, gifts to immediate family, foreclosures, estate sales, and new construction covered by a builder warranty. If you think you might be in one of those situations, check with your agent or your real estate attorney before assuming you're off the hook. And even if you are exempt, you might want to consider disclosing anyway. Voluntary disclosure almost always protects you more than not disclosing. Now I'm going to share my story with you about a seller who knew better, failed to disclose, and got caught. Early in my career, I was working with a young couple. They were first-time homebuyers on a first-time buyer budget. We had been looking for a while, and a house came on the market in a great area, and it had just had a $15,000 price reduction, and it put it right in their price range. They loved it, and they wrote an offer. The house was owned and listed by a realtor. And I remember thinking at the time, in my naivete, oh, this will go smoothly. She's a realtor selling her own house. She knows how this is supposed to go. When I called the owner/listing agent, I asked her directly, why did the house come back on the market? Was there a prior inspection? She told me the buyers had simply changed their minds. Back then, most home buyers did a home inspection, so I booked one with my trusted inspector. And when I called to let the agent know, she asked me who the inspector was, which was a little out of the ordinary, though I told her, and she didn't say anything. I always try to arrive to inspections early, and when I got there, the inspector greeted me and said, Jess, I've been here before. He told me the previous buyers had hired him. During that inspection, he found inches of water in the basement. Not dampness, not a little puddle, inches of standing water. And the roof shingles, they had been recalled. And then he said, the owner was here the entire time. I told her myself about both issues. Now let that sink in. The seller, she was a licensed real estate agent. She was present when an inspector told her to her face about significant water intrusion and the recalled roof shingles. She watched those buyers walk away. She then cleaned up the basement and put in new carpet, dropped the price by $15,000, and then she told me those buyers had simply changed their mind. She did not disclose what she knew in writing or otherwise. Now, the cost to fix both issues, about $40,000 in today's market. My clients would have been on the hook for every dollar if they had closed without us discovering this. In this case, the worst thing didn't happen for either buyers or the seller. The seller paid for most of the repairs in the form of a credit. The buyers ended up getting a new roof. The buyers liked the house and they chose to move forward. And the seller/listing agent, she could have faced much more than a large repair credit. She could have faced punitive damages, attorney's fees, and the loss of her real estate license. This is what happens when the form is treated as an obstacle instead of protection. The $500 penalty. Some sellers, they choose not to provide the disclosure form at all and figure, I'll just pay the $500 credit at closing. But here's what you should know if you're thinking about doing that. The $500 doesn't protect you from anything. It doesn't waive your disclosure obligation. It doesn't shield you from a fraud claim. It's a penalty for skipping the form. And it's the least of your worries if you fill it out dishonestly. Now go back to my story. That seller, she didn't skip the form, she filled it out, but she deliberately left off things that she knew. That's not a $500 problem. That's a lawsuit. And remember, that 3-year clock starts the day the buyer discovers the problem, not the day you closed. The discomfort of putting something on this form is always less than the cost of hiding it. So what do you actually have to disclose? Now the form, it covers pretty much everything: foundation, roof, water intrusion, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, septic, sewer, environmental hazards, and radon, and any title or HOA issues. It's 9 pages and it's a lot of questions. But the biggest question I get isn't what's on the form, it's this: what do I actually have to disclose? And that almost always comes up around something that's either been repaired or something that happened one time. My advice is to lean toward honesty. There are gray areas, but honesty is always the best policy, and when in doubt, check with your attorney. Here's how I think through this process. If an item was properly repaired and has never come back, say a pipe burst 10 years ago, a plumber fixed it, and there haven't been any issues since, I would generally not consider that to be a current known defect. Confirm with your attorney if you're unsure or if there's more to the story. If something happened that was never truly fixed, that's different. So for example, if water came into your basement during a storm 2 years ago, you cleaned it up, it hasn't happened since, but you never addressed the source and you never made any repairs. In that case, disclose it and tell the story. We had water in our basement in 2022 during a heavy storm. It's never recurred. That explanation, it's honest, it's complete, and it actually builds more trust with a buyer than a blank no that the first big rainstorm is going to contradict. A special note for sellers in a competitive market where buyers are waiving inspections. When a buyer waives their home inspection, which we have been seeing a lot in this market, your disclosure form is more important than ever. That form may be the only detailed information that they have about the condition of your home before they close. And if they're waiving the inspection and relying on your word, the standard you hold yourself to on that form should go up, not down. Be thorough, be specific, because if something surfaces after closing and there was no inspection, that buyer, they're going straight to the disclosure form. And then they're calling me and then their attorney. And if they can prove that you lied, they can sue you. Use the form to your advantage. Here's a perspective you may not have considered. I recently showed a home where the disclosures were the most thorough I'd seen in years. And do you know what those thorough disclosures communicated to me and the buyer? This home is well taken care of and the owners are meticulous. The form has a section for updates and improvements. Use it. When a buyer sees those updates on a legal document, as well as all of your comments about the condition, it carries more weight than any listing description. It builds credibility, and credible sellers are going to get better offers. This form is your chance to tell the story of how well you took care of this home. Take advantage of it. 2 more tips. Don't rush. It's 9 pages. Pull out your contractor receipts and invoices and set aside real time and fill it out correctly. Second tip, Update it if things change. If you're under contract and you have a leak or an HOA fee increase, if something changes after you list, update the form. This will protect you from the buyer claiming they didn't know about it after closing. A special word for buyers. If you're a buyer watching this, read the form, all of it, very carefully. Don't just rely on your realtor. And keep this in mind, sellers can only disclose what they know. If you're buying a home that's been vacant for a while or where the seller hasn't actually lived there, something going wrong after you move in may simply be the result of systems and mechanicals that haven't been used. That's not necessarily concealment. That may be the limits of what they can know about a house that they haven't lived in. Here's what I want you to walk away with today. There is real risk to you as a home seller if you don't disclose material facts honestly. If the buyer discovers before closing, you could lose your buyer or have to overpay on repairs just to keep the deal together. Or you could face a lawsuit after closing. If you're thinking about selling in West Hartford or anywhere in Hartford County, I'd love to sit down with you. There is a link in the description to schedule a free seller consultation. And if this was helpful, hit the thumbs up. It helps other Connecticut sellers find this information. See you next time.